Yay Networks.
Welcome to another episode of Plastic Surgery Uncensored. I'm your host, Dr. Rady Rahban, and boy, do we have a show for you today. This episode is going to be super fascinating. We're going to be tackling some serious topics, and we are so blessed and so lucky because we got the Nash Sisters, and I just love saying it. I just keep saying it over and over again, the Nash Sisters. I feel like they're a group from Tennessee or some band. They're amazing. These beautiful sisters, I have been blessed to be a part of their lives for the last few years, and they've each undergone their own weight loss journeys. And the purpose of this episode today is to talk about not only just individual weight loss journey, but weight gain as an epidemic in this country. And they have been so kind to get on the show with us today, because what we want to talk about is how did we get there? How did we get to our max weight? And how did we lose that weight? So we're very lucky to have you, ladies. Welcome to the show. So let's start with Becky. Introduce yourselves and let's work our way across.
Hello, my name is Becky Nash.
How old are you, Becky?
I am 32 years old.
Amazing. Okay. Then we have.
I'm Liz Nash. I'm the middle sister, 31.
Liz is 31. And then who we got last?
I'm Rikki. I'm the youngest. I'm 28.
Okay, I love it. All right, awesome. Ladies, let's start from the top. So I'm going to ask you guys each individual question so we can set the frame. Becky, how tall are you?
5'7".
5'7". Okay, darling. And what was your max weight that you ever became in your life?
205.
205. When did you become 205? At what age?
I was probably around 24.
Okay. And when you were a young girl, let's say 12, 11, 13, how much did you weigh then?
I had struggled with my weight throughout my childhood. So I would say I was probably within like 160 pounds, 50 pounds.
All right. So you were in the 160s as a young child, and then the max you became was in your early 20s at 205, right?
Yes.
Okay. Liz, how tall are you, honey?
I am 5'6".
5'6". And what was your max weight you ever weighed?
My max weight was 245.
245. And when were you at that weight?
I would say about 21, 22.
21, 22. And when you were in your adolescence, what was the weight that you weighed? What was the most you weighed when you were a young girl?
From what I can remember, it was like around 8th grade, like 175.
Okay, 175 when you were about 8th grade. Got it. Okay, Rikki, how tall are you, darling?
5'3".
5'3". And what was your max weight?
275 pounds.
275. And what were you, at what age did you get to about 275?
I would say around high school. So probably 15, 16.
15, 16. Okay. So, Becky, what do you weigh now?
I teeter, but right now it's around 150.
150. Amazing. Liz?
I maintain at 150.
Amazing. And Rikki, where are you at?
195.
195. Amazing. So you can see that. Let's just put it into context. Here you are, three beautiful girls, sisters, all about a few years apart, ranging in weight from between 200 and 275, which you guys kind of peaked at your young adulthood in your 20s. And all of you struggled with weight when you were young children, correct? So naturally the next question, and you're the only siblings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Correct.
So naturally the next question is, what about your parents? So are your parents overweight?
Yes. Well, my dad has passed away, partially due to heart issues, which I would assume would, have some attribute to his weight.
How much did he weigh when he was at his max?
Gosh, over 300 pounds.
Okay, so he was 300 plus pounds. And then your mom?
My mom hasn't struggled as much, but I would say she's right around 180 pounds now, but she's only about 5'2", so she has been larger.
Right, and she was probably above 200 at some point, right?
Yes.
Okay, so 200 plus, and she's like 5'3". She's a tiny woman.
Mm-hmm.
And so and we had this dialogue in the office, and that's why I'm so proud of you guys for coming, because we're going to tackle some really big questions here. So here you are, and you didn't become overweight when you were adults. You were overweight when you were children. And when you were children, your parents were overweight. And so the question is, how did we get here? So the challenge is, once I get to 200, 220, 250, I am faced with this insurmountable challenge of losing a lot of weight. And we're going to talk about how it impacts your finances, how it impacts your health, impacts your romantic life, how it impacts the job you get. I mean, the ramifications are massive. But the question is, how did you guys get to that weight when you were young kids? And so I wanted to get into the crux of that with each of you and sort of see if we can unravel how this happens. And then naturally, hopefully one day you guys will be parents. And then the question is, I assume you'd like not to have your children have to have the obstacles, right? That you guys have had to manage. So the question is, what are you going to do differently? So let's start with Becky. Becky, what do you think was how did you get to, let's say, 160 pounds at when you were, I don't know, 13?
Yeah, when we were talking in the office, we kind of touched base on it as well when you brought it up about just growing up and family lifestyle. So I assume it would have to do a lot with what we were provided to eat. We ate out a lot. We had a lot of fast food options. And I think once you start eating that, it obviously tastes good. So then you continue to crave it and it just goes down that path. But I also think having an endless supply of just being able to snack and eat whatever we wanted is also something that contributed to that. We didn't really have a set time to eat or what snacks we could have. It was kind of a free for all, I would say.
Got it. So the question I assume is that here you are kids, right? You ask any kid in America, forget about that. You ask any kid in the world, hey, you want to have broccoli or you want to go have, McDonald's? I mean, what are you talking about? Of course I want to have McDonald's. There's no kid in the entire planet who's going to be like, I want broccoli. That's a lie. So that requires parental guidance. So I'm assuming because your parents' own personal dietary relationships, the way they interacted with food wasn't in a healthy one, it was hard for them to necessarily maybe guide you. Do you think that, I think obviously in hindsight, I'm assuming, you guys, you ate out a lot, so that I understand. The snacks were endless, so you can eat whenever you wanted. And as you said, you had no structured timing to eat. Liz, were you aware that this was an issue? Or because you guys were in your own bubble with your mom and dad and everyone, you're like, well, this is normal? Or were you pretty conscious when you were like 13, 14 at school, like, whoa, this is not how everybody else is?
I think a little bit of both. Obviously, when you're that age, you're very self-aware of your body image, and a lot of kids were smaller than I was. But I don't think I put the eating habits together as to why, I was maybe bigger than them.
When did you realize, wait, okay, so my parents are overweight, I'm overweight, we eat whenever we want. When did you put it all together? When did you say, oh, it's not just because I'm genetically predisposed, but this is a lifestyle issue? When did you figure that out?
I'd probably say around high school.
High school.
People were a lot more like active than I was, I guess you would say.
And then when you noticed it, when you first became aware of it, Rikki, when the first time you became aware of, okay, I'm 15, 16, and I'm 275 pounds, for example. And I'm sure there was no way you weren't aware of it. When you first became aware of it, what did you feel? Like, what were you going to do? Like, okay, whoa, this is not, what am I do now?
Well, I was probably around 275 pounds for close to 8 or 9 years. I didn't really start my weight loss journey until about 2016. But, I was constantly depressed. I didn't really want to go out anywhere because, I didn't want people to judge me or to see how large I was because I didn't like the way I looked. So I would say after our dad passed away due to his health issues, that really made me think about my lifestyle and how I needed to change if I wanted to stick around past the age that he passed away. He passed away at the age of 51, so he wasn't very old.
Very young. Okay, so there's just so many questions that are so interesting because you guys are, if you looked at you now, 3 beautiful young ladies, and each of you independently have lost, gosh, almost 100 pounds apiece, if not more. So that's just remarkable. And you're so close in age. Did you guys ever have this conversation as a collective group, like the 3 of you sisters together, like, yo, our parents are heavy, we're really heavy, like, what's going on? What do we do? Like, or was this one of those like quiet secrets that no one ever talked about?
No, we prior to actually losing the weight altogether, I think several times we had attempted as a group to lose weight, but going back to how difficult it is to change habits, we had tried to do it, attempted to do it several times. And then individually, we slowly started to lose the weight. I started losing the weight first. This last go about that we've been able to maintain it. And then it was kind of a trickle down effect from there. But even in high school when we were younger, we knew we were overweight and made changes, but then the weight crept back up again. So
do you think that as parents that are listening, so here you are parents, you're all listening. The purpose of this is not for your 12-year-old who's listening, who's overweight, to like do something about it. The reason we're having this episode is because you're a parent and you're overweight. And now I want you to sit down and ask yourself, is my child overweight? If my child is overweight, it is my fault. There's no dicing it or sugarcoating it. This child eats when you tell them to eat. They eat what you tell them to eat. They eat how you tell them to eat. When they're grown adults and they're 20 and they maintain a certain weight, that's up to them. But as an adult, you're the one responsible. If all you had available was quinoa, that's all that was in that house. You're like, God damn it, Mom, I can't take another quinoa bowl. You're killing me. It's hard to gain 100 pounds on quinoa. But if you have a pantry, and in that pantry is anything you could ever imagine, and there is no rhyme or reason, and you can grab it whenever you want, well, then naturally it's not too surprising, is it? And so that, that's why we're having this conversation, because someone has to take responsibility, and we want parents to feel that responsibility. So let's go through this part here. So when did you, Becky, did you all lose weight when you left home?
Yeah, I mean, I actually had lost weight prior to, turning the age of 18 as well. So before high school, I would say entering into ninth grade, I had lost quite a significant amount of weight, and then maintained it for about a year or two, and then gained it all back because of unhealthy choices with losing the weight. So it was kind of a yo-yo effect at that point. But yes, I would say when it became serious and I was committed to making a full lifestyle change was after that. Yeah.
Liz, when you were on your own, when you eventually became your own adult who had access to your own refrigerator, buying your own food, is that when you started to lose your weight significantly?
You know what? Not actually at first. What made me kickstart my weight loss was a family wedding. Becky was a bridesmaid, and she started losing weight, and then I just joined in with her. That's when I started losing the weight, and I probably lost about 20 pounds. And then I just liked how I felt, so I just kept on going.
Okay, and then Rikki, I'm assuming you're the youngest sister. You had the most amount of weight, and you saw your two sisters like getting their crap together, and you're like, okay. And then was it when you saw them that was the biggest motivator, or was it because you didn't want to be left behind because now they're losing weight? How did it all play out for you?
I would say that was a big part of it. Just seeing them, how good they felt after losing the weight, and their self-image changed. So I would say that they encouraged me to start working out and living a better lifestyle. But whenever I entered adulthood, like I said, I was probably around my heaviest for 10 years or so. So I was still making those bad choices into my early adulthood.
So it's interesting. And so this is why we're having this conversation. So you learn things as a child, and then you go into adulthood and you repeat them. So the argument is, okay, you guys to say, well, you didn't have access to going to the supermarket. Your parents were the ones who were buying Twinkies. Okay, so you went into the pantry. You guys wanted quinoa. All there was Twinkies. Now you guys are 3 grown adults. Why the hell aren't you buying quinoa? And the answer is, you're going to do whatever you learned as a child because that's what you know. That is why whatever you learn, love, abuse, overeating, dysfunction, whatever you learn in your household is so powerful because it carries on with you as an adult. I mean, we all know that, right? And so it's beyond important that you learn eating habits as a young adult because it's the tools that you use as a grown adult. And actually, it's when it becomes more challenging because that's when you're on your own and you got to make all these choices by yourself. So, it doesn't surprise me that, given how you guys were as a family, that all of you carried on this weight sort of a little bit into your adulthood with the same bad habits. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. I got still like 8 million questions. I can't tell you how many questions I have. I'm so fascinated and curious by your guys' accomplishment as a group and the interactions and the dynamics and the interplay between your parents, because success story is a microcosm of America, right? We have an epidemic of beyond a magnitude in this country of people being overweight. It's the number one cause of health issues. It's number one cause of depression and self-loathing. It's so powerful. And here you guys are, this beautiful sort of classic family of America. And you guys had that upbringing, you gained the weight, you each individually had to overcome it. Here you are, and you have. And I just think there's so many fascinating things we can learn through just spending 5 minutes and reflecting, so that you know that if you're that parent right now and you're noticing that you have some of these trends, you want to prevent your children from having to lose 100 pounds. You're just doing them a huge disservice. So let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with Plastic Surgery Uncensored and the Nash Sisters. Welcome back to the second half of Plastic Surgery Uncensored. Yes, I am with the Nash Sisters. I told you I'm going to say that as many times as I can. I love the sound of that. You guys, I'm going to be your producer. We're going to do something. I don't know what it is. We're going to have an album. We're going to do, I don't know, and what do you call it? A TLC special, something. So I've been so I've just been so fascinated by your guys' journey. So, so Becky, so people know, Becky, you were the first that we met, and you underwent a tummy tuck. You had a breast augmentation and a lift at the point at which you had lost. What was the max amount of weight that you ended up losing?
Altogether, roughly around 80 pounds when I had originally had the consult.
Right. So you lost 80 pounds. So we did this sort of reconstruction for you. You looked gorgeous, in great shape, living your life. Then we recently actually did Liz's surgery just 2 months ago. And you had a similar surgery, not exactly. You had a tummy tuck with breast augmentation. The question is, of course, people will wonder, well, why do we need to enhance breasts if we're overweight? And the answer is, as a part of the weight loss journey, you generate a tremendous amount of loose skin, but you also lose a lot of the fat that you kind of want, the fat in the butt, the fat in the face, and the fat in the breast. So it's not uncommon that if you've lost 50, 70, 90, 120 pounds, you're going to need some volume in your breast. Liz, how much was the max you had lost?
I'd say about like 94, 95 pounds.
95 pounds. Okay, great. And Liz is, Rikki's still in her journey and making great strides. And whenever and if ever necessary, we'll be there for you. So the question everyone's going to ask is, how the hell did you lose the weight? So we talked about the first session. How did you get here? And the answer is bad eating habits, period. Whether that is what I ate, when I ate it, how often I ate it, it's bad interactions, bad relationships with food. And we know that as a young adult, as a child, that's ultimately the responsibility of a parent. That's why you go to school and bathe and don't play with guns and things of that nature. We just don't give it as much emphasis because it's a different source of bad parenting. And unfortunately, your parents probably didn't know any better, and they did their very best. And unfortunately, here you are. I'm assuming that when and if you guys have kids, you guys will have a different perspective because naturally you guys went through this journey. The second half is now let's figure out. So people are now listening and they're like, okay, so I'm overweight. These three girls did, wow, the sum total of you is 300 pounds of weight loss. What did you do? So what, Becky, tell me your magic. Tell me the secret sauce. What did you do? How'd you lose this weight?
Yeah, I wish I were to say it were something outside of just changing your eating habits and being more, physical and active, but that's really what it was for me. I think the big piece for me was not the exercising. Yes, it became easier and more enjoyable when I lost the weight, but the hardest part really was changing the eating habits and being more mindful of what I ate and also aware of portions. I think that was a big one. And then after you change that, it's also, feeling good about eating, because I think that's something that you struggle with as well. When you lose the weight is you're always so worried about gaining it back. So then you're worried about, can I eat this or that? And of course, everything's in moderation, but, I'm not going to gain the weight back overnight by having, an occasional burger if I want. So I think that was a big thing too, was the mental side of it. And just really changing that eating habit issue that I had.
Yeah, and you said it exactly correct. I've said it probably 3,555 times. This will be 56. You lose weight by diet. You do not lose weight by exercise. You can exercise and be 350 pounds overweight. You must alter what goes into your body. Now, what exercise does for you is it increases your metabolism, helps you, makes you feel better, all those things. But if you don't alter your diet, you're never going to lose weight. So every person who's lost 100 pounds have spoken to me. Every one of them has been through changing what they eat. What you discuss is the classic journey, which is there is no secret sauce. It's about the components of eating. So it is, what am I eating? Am I eating broccoli or am I eating Cheetos? It's how much of it am I eating? So portion control. Am I eating an entire bag or a few chips? And it's when I eat. Am I eating all day long, constantly, late at night, at 3 a.m, or am I eating at appropriate times of the day so that I have a chance for my metabolism to work? So those are the components of eating of all human beings. They have nothing special to do with you guys. It's just that you're out of kilter when you do yours. And the last component, which you touched on so beautifully, is the psychology of eating. You have an absolutely terrible relationship with food. Food is like this bizarre thing, right? Whereas when you've lost the weight, as you said, so, which I've heard many times, you have now this, oh my God, what if I gain it again? Oh my God, what if it comes back? Oh my God. So then what you end up doing is you end up having this psychological warfare where you need to do what you do. Is it takes some time to develop that understanding that I'm going to be okay. And you said it exactly right. You didn't gain it overnight. You're not going to gain it overnight. You need to have a relationship where you have to give yourself some breathing room. So I think that all those items that you said are so accurate, and you'll find that people will constantly repeat the same thing when they've lost. So let's see, Liz, what's your secret? What was your special secret sauce that allowed you to lose the weight?
I think kind of what Becky said, it's started with the nutrition. Small changes can make a big impact. I was eating fast food, Taco Bell, McDonald's, probably over 2,000 calories a day. And then, of course, if you're eating that much and having no activity, you're going to gain weight. So just switching to healthier chicken breast, veggies, not even working out at first, you notice that you're going to lose a little bit of weight. If you're not consuming 2,000 calories. If you go from consuming 2,000 calories to 1,600, you're going to see a difference.
Of course.
And that's kind of how it started with me.
And I'm assuming it was step by step, right? Little by little. It wasn't like, you said you were at your max at 245.
Yes.
It wasn't like you made some changes and the next thing you know, you're at 190. No, you didn't, you went to like 238.
Mm-hmm.
Then you went to 230. Then you went, and so it's these incremental, this sort of milestones, and you have to be it for the long haul. I'll ask this from all of you because people who lose weight, gain, lose. It's this constant battle because it's this, you're still trying to undo this years of way you lived your life. But there is a time in which you're like, I got it. I got this. I'm here. I'm stable. I'm good. I don't have that worry. Rikki, I know you're still in your weight loss journey, but you've lost already like what, 70 pounds?
Yeah, around 75, 80 pounds.
That's remarkable in and of itself. Obviously, the challenge in you is that you were the heaviest of the three of you, so you have a longer journey to go. But in and of itself, you've lost as much weight as your sisters, which is remarkable. So when did you decide in your mind, or have you, that you got this weight loss thing?
I would say I had lost probably like 4 or 5 years ago, close to 90 pounds. But like Becky had mentioned earlier, it wasn't a healthy way of losing weight. So I did end up gaining about 50 or 60 pounds back.
What was unhealthy of it? Tell me, explain.
Basically, I was pretty much starving myself. I went from overeating, and I would even say binge eating. Once I was eating when I was at my heaviest, I couldn't stop, to eating maybe one time a day.
Got it. So you did the sort of the opposite, which is you went into starvation, which
Right.
fascinatingly enough actually backfires because your body realizes, holy crap, there's not enough calories here to survive. And so anything and everything you eat, you hold on to your dear life. and then your metabolism goes to shit. So
exactly. And whenever I was starving myself, I really wasn't eating healthy either. It wasn't like I was eating, vegetables and, chicken breast. It was unhealthy food whenever I was eating the one time a day. But I would say probably about 2 years ago, whenever I started to take the weight loss journey seriously, we all decided to get a personal trainer, and she helped us with nutrition. So that helped out a lot, because prior to that, I wasn't eating, vegetables or anything healthy. So it really helps just looking at the nutritional facts. And, I felt like once I was able to look at that guide, I was able to maintain everything.
So you guys hit on a very good point, which is you got help, right? You got help from somebody. You mean you had a coach? Wow, what a novel concept. So you guys are sitting here struggling with diet because, from a young age, you had a bad relationship. And then you bring in an individual who's smart and does this for a living, and that person gives you guidance. Brilliant. I love it. People spend a shit ton of money on useless crap, and you tell them to get a nutritionist, and they look at you like you're like from an out of this planet. A nutritionist? Oh my God, it's just so. What? You spent $300 on your cell phone. What are you effing talking about? Get a goddamn nutritionist. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. Let someone be accountable. Let someone build you a plan. Force you to stick to rules. You're not going to figure this out on your own. You don't see, Kobe Bryant didn't get there without a coach. Everybody gets there with a coach. So you guys had a nutritionist. Brilliant. And that person, after a certain period of time, is not necessary once you figure it out, but you're going to definitely need one. So I want anyone listening to recognize that there is 3 young girls that not magically just whimsically just figure it out because they went on the internet. This information is not new or unusual or some special secret. It's just you need someone to help you, hold you accountable. You need someone to check on you that you have to answer to. And that person then guides you until you get on this path where you got it, like a bicycle in training wheels. Becky, when did you feel like you got this? Because it sounds like since you're the eldest and you started this journey, you sound like you sort of got it first, and you sort of kind of found your way, and then it's, your sisters were able to sort of follow in your footsteps. When did you feel like I got this shit? I got it. I figured out my life.
Yeah, I would say around 25 when I felt comfortable that I was able to maintain my weight loss. But actually, I would say when I had my consultation with you and I came in and I was under the assumption I needed to continue losing weight, and you're like, hold up, stop, you don't need to lose weight, because in my mind at that point, I felt I could lose another 10 pounds. And you're like, no, you actually need to gain 10 pounds before we do your surgery. So I think that was actually a connector, because at that point I thought I was good, but because of the body image issues that I had, I assumed I needed to keep losing weight. That was a big impact.
Yeah, that's a great comment. So you came to me and you were the first that we met, and this is not uncommon. I meet people who are in weight loss journeys, right? They've lost 100 pounds, 115 pounds, whatever. We meet, we talk, and then I say, what's your situation with your weight? And they're like, I just need to lose 20 more pounds and then I'm ready. And I'm like, no, wait. 20 more pounds? What are you talking about? You're just skin and bone right now. No, look how fat I am. Oh my God. And it's interesting. It happens over and over and over and over again, because now you're staring at all this loose skin. You have a horrible relationship with the scale. You have no idea where you are. You feel fat even though you're not fat, because you look not the way you want to look. And in many instances, as was in the case of yours, I tell you to gain weight. What are you talking about, gain weight? Are you crazy? Yes, you need to gain weight. You're just all skin. You have no subcutaneous fat anymore. Don't you worry. When we remove all this loose skin and you look in the mirror, you're going to be like, oh yeah, I like this new frame. This looks good. So that is a very critical element, which is understanding when you've arrived and when you're safe and when you're healthy. And that weight that is going to be healthy for you is not going to be the same weight that's healthy for your sisters. And that you don't need to be, whatever the ideal weight is, because your body isn't ideal anymore. It's gone through a very difficult journey. So you just need to get somewhere wherever you can stay there. So, and then I guess the last component is, so we talked about how you got there. We talked about how you lost it. And then now we're going to we now just want to touch on, what do you do once you've lost it? So here you guys are, the 3 of you. Each of you is, I think I've done the math now. The average weight loss each of you has had is about 80 pounds. You've all lost about 80 pounds, and you lose 80 pounds. And one by one, we're going to go through this. What happened to your bodies when you lose 80 pounds? And then when you look in the mirror, do you just love it? Do you just love all that weight that you lost? Are you super happy that you lost all this weight? Because that's the final phase, right? So here it is, a person. So if you're a parent and your kids are overweight, you got to really reflect. If you yourself are overweight, you need to know how to lose the weight. And then once you've lost the weight, you got to be prepared, because once you lose the weight, it isn't all that merry. It isn't all that exciting. It isn't that utopia you imagine to be yet. So, Becky, you lost the 80 pounds. I'm just going to use that as an average. And then what happened? You look in the mirror and it looks amazing, right?
I wish. It's actually quite the opposite. So after I lost the weight, I mean, it was very gratifying because, I lost 80 pounds. But then when you look in the mirror and you have loose skin and, you're visually not happy with the way you look because you assumed you were going to be fit and ready to go. And then you have all this extra skin. So if anything, it put me in a little bit more of a depression than actually I was when I was heavier, because then I have all this loose skin. What can I do? I have this ideal weight loss and number. I reached my goal, and then you're just not happy with yourself because of the extra skin that you have at that point.
Very, very well said, which is, I'm more depressed. What the hell does that mean? How can you be more depressed? You were 215 pounds. Yeah, I'm more depressed because when I was at 215, I made no effort. Now I killed myself and I don't look good.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm depressed because I now don't look like what I thought I was going to look. Liz, what was your experience when you lost 80 pounds? Was that similar, or did you love the way you looked?
Pretty much what Becky said. You lose all the weight and then you're left with all the skin. When you're over 200 pounds, you're already covering up anyways. And then lost all the weight and you're still having to cover up because you have all the excess skin. So I didn't want to wear a bathing suit, a crop top, nothing, because you have all the extra skin in your abdomen.
So that's something that I don't think people understand, or they don't really think about, right? I don't think people really actually think about it. They assume the journey ends when you lost the 80 pounds and you look good in clothes, right? And then people don't actually even they don't even feel sympathetic towards you anymore. Kind of almost like you're overweight, people gave you a little bit of grace. But then now you're skinny, so everyone expects you to just be like, woo! And you're like, not really.
Yeah.
I'm not really that happy. What are you not happy about? You look great. You're like, yeah, but you don't know what I look like under all this. So what do you do? What do you do, Liz? Rikki, you lost all this weight, and now you look you look in the mirror and you're like, all these folds and extra skin. Nobody knows what's going on under your clothes. No one can really empathize with you except for your close friends and your sisters. So what do we do once we've lost that weight?
Well, it's interesting. I was actually talking about this to a few coworkers the other day. I feel like a lot of the older generation says, you just need to tone up and, your skin's going to bounce back. But the reality is you have to get surgery. It's never going to go away after you lose an excess amount of weight like that. There's no way you can get rid of the loose skin without having surgery.
That's right. You just said it. That's exactly correct. And the faster you realize that, okay, the quicker you realize that, the less depressed you'll be, because the reality is that thinking that you can get away without it is actually more depressing because you feel like it's your fault. Like, oh no, wait, I just have to do a few more squats, just a few more lunges. Maybe if I eat just a little less. No, you have a bunch of loose skin that's stretched that's never going to go back. And if, you can't keep blaming yourself. So the answer is, once you've lost a significant amount of weight, you need to prepare yourself mentally, financially, experientially, everything, to finalize and finish this journey. And to finish this journey is the moment in which you stand in front of a mirror, disrobed by yourself, and look in the mirror and say, I like the person I see. That's the end of this journey. And people who are planning this or in the process of this need to prepare for it, because if you get to the end of this weight loss, you lost 80 pounds, you have no money, no ambition you have no method. You'll be actually bummed out, as you said, because now it's like, oh my God, I'm not here, I'm not there, I'm stuck in the middle. So it's a huge burden financially, and it's a big journey. But at the end of it, the hopes is that you do get to the place where you get to a place of a clearing or a happiness, or a place where you love the way you look and feel. because you feel great when you're skinny after you've lost weight, but you don't love necessarily the way you look. So let's wrap it up with this final part here. So let's go through each of these. Becky, you maxed out at 205. You're in your 150s. You've had weight loss. You've been stable for a while. 32 years old. You had at least the beginning of the surgery journeys. I don't know if there's anything left that you have to do. And how do you feel when you stand, and I say this, naked in front of the mirror? Do you love the way you look? Are you happy? Are you in a happy place in your life?
Yeah, I mean, prior to the procedure, as we discussed, I wasn't happy. I didn't even want to look at myself. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want anyone else to see me. I think it impacted my life, personally and socially as well. So after the procedure with you, I definitely think and thank you for making such a big change in my life, because I don't think I would be where I am today, growing within myself and even within the workforce. I'm much more confident now. So it made a tremendous difference in my life. So I'm very happy. And I will say, for the first time, I do feel very comfortable with myself and confident. That was the big thing, being confident.
And that's incredible, right? If that's an incredible singular journey. Young child, overweight, young adult, pretty woman, in control, looking great, feeling powerful. That's a significant journey. For me, the only thing that makes me happy is when you say that you feel confident, because that's really what this is all about. And Becky, Liz, I know yours is a little early, right? Because you haven't fully settled and everything,
Mm-hmm.
but how about your feeling of yourself and your body and your image and your confidence as you now are going into the workforce? I mean, you look stunning. Listen, your sisters look pretty as well, but I got to tell you, I'm partial to the wavy hair. I just look how do you feeling? Because you're fresh and you just started. You just started this 3 years ago. You're just a few months out.
I feel great. Most of my swelling has gone down. I'm looking forward to my final results. I feel so much more better about myself, though.
Do you?
I really do.
Like, do you look forward to like getting dressed and going out and putting on something attractive? And
Yes, I want to wear the crop top now. I bought a bikini for the summer.
holy shit!
First time I have worn a bikini. Yes.
So it's funny. I use that as my indicator, right? When was the last time you wore a bikini, two-piece bikini in your life? And you're 31. You're going to be 31 tomorrow. When was
Yes.
the last time you wore a bikini?
I have never worn a bikini out in public.
So if you're turning 31, you're a beautiful woman, and you've never worn a bikini, and this is the first time. I mean, that says it all. That says everything. And it's not about the damn bikini. It's about the feeling that I feel so comfortable in myself that I want to participate in society as a normal young woman and go and do just regular shit that everybody else is doing. So that to me is remarkable, and it's so exciting. And at the end of the day, there are people who are out there that don't know much about plastic surgery, and they like to poo-poo shit and like, oh, plastic surgery is all vanity. Oh, you should be helping burn victims. Oh, what about people with breast cancer? But what is that? I don't even understand what the hell that means. The two are they're not mutually exclusive. The fact of the matter is that the change that you have experienced in your life is as powerful as a cleft lip that I do in Guatemala. You cannot diminish the value of any of this stuff. So I love plastic surgery for that reason. I am buying my first bikini ever.
Mm-hmm.
Period. Mic drop. Done. That's phenomenal. All right, Rikki, if you do not have enough motivation between the two sisters, I don't know what to tell you, darling. But, you are doing it on your own, and you've lost already 70, 80 pounds, and you'll just keep chugging along until you find your end point, whatever that is in your life. And you have, how do you feel about your journey now that you have them as sort of role models?
I feel great where I'm at right now. Of course, I do still have a little bit of weight to lose, but I know that I can do it, and they are here to help me along the way. And like you said, a big part of it is financial. I'm financially ready to do that. So whenever I hit my goal, hopefully within the next year, I'll be able to get the procedures done.
Yeah, I mean, that's beautiful. And it's great that you guys have this mini community, because you can't do it alone. You can't do it by yourself. It takes, and you guys can look at each other with great confidence and understanding and empathy. You guys are all from the same starting point, your upbringing. So that's why I thought this whole story with you guys was so fascinating. And I think so worthy of listening to, because you guys represent, as I said, a microcosm of the macrocosm of this country. And you are the success story that I hope that people can impart and take for themselves, whether they're parents and listening so that they don't have their kids have to go through this journey, or whether they themselves are the ones that are overweight, or they're the ones that have lost some weight and are trying to figure it out. So, yeah, awesome episode. You guys rock. For those of you who can't see the Nash Sisters because you're listening, I would, on this particular episode, I think you should get on our YouTube and check it out visually, because you're going to see how beautiful these ladies are. And it's going to be even better when you see how gorgeous their smiles are. All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much for joining me. Namaste. I really appreciate it. And as always, if you love our podcast, please do me a favor. Share it with the rest of your friends and family. Download it, subscribe, and most importantly, write nice things. Write us a nice review. Say something lovely. Share the love. Until next week, as always, I'm your host, Dr. Rady Rahban. We'll see you then.
Thank you for listening to Plastic Surgery Uncensored with Dr. Rady Rahban. We would love your feedback. If you enjoyed this episode, or if you find our podcast helpful, tell us why. Leave us a review and make sure you subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. If you have a topic you would like for us to discuss in an upcoming episode, please reach out to us on Instagram at Dr. Rady Rahban, on Facebook at Rady Rahban, or at RadyRahban.com.